PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Pinnett.
All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact through the Mercedes teammate.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
And a big good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to PSGL F1. It is another week here on Monday night for what should hopefully be another fantastic race. My name is Evan Dalton. It's a pleasure to be alongside James. Where's James Head for this week? No James Head. We have a stand-in. It is Mr. Byron Hale who joins me. Byron, welcome back. It's been a long time, but good to have you here.
I was going to say, I mean, I did the first round, I'm pretty sure, of this season, and it was brilliant. I just about remember that. And then, yeah, it was second appearance. I'm pretty sure I joined, is it round 7? If I remember rightly off the top of my head.
I think so. Against...
Seasoned veteran already. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. I'm pretty sure, looking at the grid, we are going to have a brilliant round as always. And as you were telling me just before we got live, it's looking pretty close.
Yeah, it is looking pretty close, and you can see on the championship standings, it is Matteo who is top of the order by 7 points after his fantastic Grand Prix victory in Monaco. He beat the man in second place in the standings, Renz Thomassen, and then it is Shizu Oscar who is in third, came third in Monaco as well. So top 3 in the standings. We're top 3 from last week. Then it is Cameron Dowds in fourth, but definitely can't rule him out just yet. Then it is quite a gap back to Dirk, who is in fifth place. The lofty heights of fifth. He's had a much better season than he had last season. Ryder Dahl in sixth, and it is Volakongan, Ryan Rayan, and Marius who round out the top 10. Last time Byron was with us, Oscar won the race. Wonder will he be able to do something similar tonight. But it is Silverstone, of course, Byron. A circuit not too far from yourself, and a track that is always entertaining.
Absolutely, so many iconic moments, not just in PSGL, but in the real world Formula 1 as well. And yeah, absolutely, it's going to be blockbuster. I've got no doubts that we're going to see a lot of moves here. It's a track where you can overtake. You've got 2 DRS zones, very good DRS zones as well, that lend themselves into overtaking opportunities into Stowe or into Brooklands, but don't count out someone trying to go side by side through Copse Corner, but let's hopefully not have any big scares there.
Yeah, no big incidents that divide the F1 community for quite some time. We might see some mistakes in qualifying, however, because as we cut to the live shot, it is about what you expect for British weather this time of year, I suppose. It is quite wet, it is quite windy, and it's looking like we are going to see the full wet tyre on display throughout this qualifying session. 20 drivers here. As long as I've been here this season anyways, we haven't had a wet qualifying session. This is a bit of a different ball game, and it separates the best from the rest. Make sure to get your predictions in on the poll in the YouTube channel description. But really, it's anyone's guess who's going to take this.
Absolutely, yeah, it really is. And this, as you said, it separates, kind of the boys from the men. In essence, who's going to have the balls to kind of just be that little bit more aggressive. I'm seeing a couple people with Inters selected in the pit lane, but whether the Inters are going to be the better tyre is another question. But Tallers, the first driver out on circuit and taking what will be a very gingerly outlap here on that wet weather compounded tyre. The drivers don't like using it in the real world of Formula 1, and no doubt they won't like using it on the F1 game either.
Yeah, it's not a tyre that people like using. Is the full wet? It doesn't heat up well. It doesn't provide you with much grip, and drivers opt for the intermediates as soon as possible. Not for Tallez, however. He's gone out and is on the wet weather tyre, and Tallez, in his most two recent PSGL podiums, they've both come at Silverstone. So it is a track that he likes. Probably doesn't fancy this wet weather, but we'll have to deal with that nonetheless. You can just see it is a soaked track for now. The quickest times in this session will not come in for quite some time. There's going to be swapping and changing, and really it's just about building your experience now. We see a lot of drivers in wet weather conditions go out for multiple laps in a row. Usually Formula 1 qualifying sessions, you have your one and done, but the drivers have just got to try get to grips with this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really difficult, but Tallez now getting towards the end of this outlap. We've seen got a lot of the grid on the circuit, and a lot of this grid opting for the intermediate compounded tyre in this qualifying session, which I think is an interesting choice. Is that necessarily the right compounded tyre? Well, time will tell. Tallez now beginning his first flying lap here, and we'll begin proceedings here in qualifying. We pretty much have lost 3 minutes of qualifying just on the outlap for this CF10 driver. Tallez is now into that sector 1, obviously ghosting on for qualifying and in through Abbey. The grip's not really there, and you can just see taking it very cautiously here through the opening part of his lap, now heading down through Aintree and down the Wellington Straight, and you can see the rear just getting all crossed up on the exit there. It is really difficult as Rayan has retired from the session. I'm not sure if that's on track or quite what's happened there. He may have a qualifying ban. But yeah, Tallez, you've got a bit of an interesting benchmark here as well. You can see as we go through this lap, you've got Alpha Gully in front, who's on intermediate compound tyres. He's on an outlap, but just interesting to see kind of how they were quite evenly matched through that first and kind of second sector up until this straight through Cups corner, taken quite nicely. But definitely not much of a difference in terms of pace, at least from what we saw between the Inters and wet, if we just go on face value from what we saw in that sector.
Yeah, Rayan does have a qualifying ban, just to confirm there, folks. So apologies if you have also voted for the king of qualifying in our qualifying poll. We've done you pretty dirty there, and there is 7 of you who have predicted Rayan for pole. He won't be getting pole because he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to take part in this session. So there's a qualifying suspension for Rayan. Let's have a look at Tallez's lap then as he comes towards the start-finish line. Time to beat is going to be a 140.525. I imagine it's going to be beaten by some of the drivers on the intermediates. Cameron Dowd's one of those also on the wet. He's usually pretty spot on with tyres, but then on the other hand, Renz Thomason is also pretty usually spot on, and you can see him just drifting his way through the Chapel curve, down the Hanger Straight then towards the right-hander of Stowe. They are on board with the Aston Martin, and let's just see the grip through here. There's not an awful lot of it, and you can just see the counter steer. Trying to take the corner with as minimal amount of steering as possible is Renz Thomason, just to try and minimise the changing of surface of the tyre on the water. And you can see Barak currently quickest in session. Renz Thomason wheels it for the final corner. Very impressive, but not quickest. Renz Thomason, of course, not too fond of wet weather conditions. Lost the Monaco Grand Prix last week on the last lap by trying to stay out in slicks in the wet, and didn't unfortunately win on that occasion. For now though, it is the 3 full wet tyre runners of Barak, Paul and Cameron Dowds who are the quickest of the bunch.
Yeah, really interesting to see, but the Inters are not far off. You can see there as Azam goes and splits the top 3, gets there in 3rd. So not much of a difference between the wets and Inters, it kind of appears, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying, just as the man who's now in 10th was beginning their lap. It didn't seem like there was much difference in terms of pace. I am noticing, though, Oscar, who won the first race that I, commentated on for the season for PSF1 when I stepped in for the very first round, has got that purple Sector 1 to his name, just going through Sector 2 now, and it's a decent Sector 2 as well. So I'd keep an eye on this man on your screen. He's on the intermediate tyres with a purple Sector 1, a green Sector 2. Oh, as he goes a bit a bit rearward through Stowe. But not a bad lap time opening for Oscar, who now makes his way around the final couple of bends and now comes through Club Corner. Could he be about to show that the intermediates are just that little bit better? He goes second, so not a huge margin in it. Matteo, though, has got a purple Sector 1 as well.
Yes, so Matteo, who has openly admitted that he struggles a little bit in qualifying, going quite well here. Oscar goes to second, just behind Barak. Mustache is another driver on a lap. We still are waiting on Dirk, Ryan, Alpha Gully, Casper Flack and Mustache to complete their laps. But again, this is going to swap and change for the remaining 11 minutes that we have. Alpha Gully heading towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Let's have a look, see, has the grip improved from when we looked a couple moments ago? Oh my goodness me, I'm surprised he's able to take this quick and not drift out, and look at that. That is car control from Alpha Gully. Sea Gully, as he has been dubbed by James Head, and I tell you what, might be used to the coast, might be used to a bit of coastal rain, and he is certainly excelling in the wet conditions here. Matteo does go to second, as Byron rightly pointed out, was purple in the first sector, now goes second overall. Locking up a little bit in towards the Vale chicane. That's lost Alpha Gully a lot of lap time. It's a Haas 1-2 as Mustache beats them all and goes ahead of Barak. Alpha Gully now beats them all and goes ahead of the two Haas's, 1:38.7. It's not the smoothest qualifying time you will ever see, but it is fastest for now.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was watching as Mustache was coming around the final sector and the commitment that these drivers are showing through there. But Rens Tomasson is on a brilliant lap at the moment. He's improving by 1.6 seconds, 2 purple sectors, and he's going into the third and final sector here. He misses the apex slightly there through Stowe Corner, now into this final sector. He could be about to absolutely decimate the bar that's been set already. He's only got 5 attempts to try and find, but he could be about to make it 1.6 if it holds up in this final sector. But getting crossed there as he goes to the top, a 1:37.393. That's a little bit more like it. What a lap time. Rens Tomasson, who is saying he's not the massive fan of these conditions, he's not doing a bad job.
Now Rens Tomasson, quickest of the bunch so far. Volakongan then goes to second, the former F2 champion, of course. We're now looking at Max van der Geest heading in towards the Vale chicane. There is a McLaren in front who we will keep an eye on. I think that's just Tales starting a lap. It is. Here comes Max rounding through the final corner. Won his first ever PSGL race in similar conditions to now in Imola quite some time ago. Just about 3 or 4 seasons ago. He goes to third. His teammate Dirk, heading into the pit lane, will not complete an opening lap, will not complete a banker time here at Silverstone. Keep an eye on Shizu Oscar as well, who's lapping quite nicely, improving by 0.5 of a second in that first sector. We'll see what he can do in the second sector here as he rounds through the Chapel curve. Once again, a little bit of a slide to the rear, and that is a 1.4 improvement. Needs to find 0.4 of a second to go quickest, but it's certainly not something to turn your nose at.
No, absolutely not. Oscar's doing really good. But again, everyone seems to be losing the rear a little bit through Stowe Corner there, is now into Vale and then through to Club Corner and then down the Hamilton Straight as it's now called. And yeah, what can Oscar do? Top of the timesheets. Not by much though, only about a 10th in that, but up to the top of the timesheets. Not a bad lap time. 3 purple sectors. That's what Oscar's going to want to see.
Yep, decent job there by Oscar. Took pole for the season opener, if I remember correctly, in Australia, so a job well done there by him. Paul is another man on a lap, heading down towards Brooklands, and that is a second in the first sector, which is not something you really see in dry conditions, certainly something you see quite a bit in wet conditions. You can just see there how the dry racing line just drifts off the apex of the corner slowly through there. The drivers try V it off as much as they can to capitalise on the exit. You can see this straight is almost dry, and then flick it in towards Cops Corner, where you have to almost follow the funnel into the corner. You don't want to touch the puddles on the outside. There is one destination for you, and that would be the wall to the left hand side of the circuit. Now Paul is going to take on what seems to be the skating rink. That is Chapel Kerr, rounds through here, and it's getting better. There is a lot more grip through there. And Paul, 2.1 seconds up. This is going to be a phenomenal lap by the Red Bull. Of course, last season's PSF2 champion took 3 pole positions in that campaign. He would look to take his first in PSF1 here this evening. Vale Chicane then breaks nicely. Brando goes top of the order so far. One of 2 Italians racing for the Scuderia. That's a 36.7 for Brando. Can Paul beat that? Yes, he can. 36.3. Beats it by a margin. And the German is now the one to beat here in qualifying.
Yeah, these lap times are really tumbling. We've seen the wets go from arguably the better tyre. Now the Inter's very much out and out that faster tyre. And those who went out on the wet, if the race is wet in any way, they've got an upper hand, but now they've got to relearn the tyre compound.
Well, there was a restart, so...
Yeah, we have got a restart, you know, and anything's possible when it comes to the weather for the race. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see. You know, they've got a bit of early practice right into the top of the timesheets there. That was out of nowhere. 3 green sectors and somehow manages to take it to the top. But Ryder Hall, no, it's not Ryder Hall. There's someone on a really good lap. It's Azam at the moment. Green sector. Purple sector 1, green sector 2. What could this be for the Alpine man, who's all the way down in 14th at the moment? Would like an improvement, but Casper Flack as well is on a very good lap there, all the way down in 19th. Azam, though, across the line to the top of the timesheets. It's a 1:36.059. What can Casper Flack do, though? He will be next across the line to set a lap time, I believe, as Palles begins a flying lap now, and that's out for Gully. Casper Flack, though, across the line. What can he do? Into the 1:35s. It's a 1:35.725. That is a beautiful lap time from him there. And now, this is the lap times really taking the tumble here in qualifying.
Brilliant lap from the journeyman. He goes quickest, and that is Casper Flack, who is the man to beat. Barak goes 0.002 off him. And that is a brilliant lap there as well from Barak, who has not necessarily had the rub of the green so far this season. In terms of the constructors' standings, they do sit down in 8th, so they would like to improve. Would definitely like to improve upon that. As Asim, oh, isn't that feisty, heading through. Cops just ran a bit wide and invalidated the lap time there, understandably so. Decent middle sector from Tales, heading up towards the Stowe corner. This, of course, is turn number 15. Marios goes quickest to Cypriot. Tales into the pit lane. Matteo then goes to second. Once again, we have another phase of tumbling times, and I imagine that is going to be a trend that continues for the final 4 minutes and 20 seconds of this qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting it to be really the entire way through. Casper Flack's on another lap, and he's improving again. Alpha Gully comes into the pit lane. What can Casper Flack do? He's got a purple sector 2, but he didn't improve in sector 1. So he's come back into the pit lane. He'll change tyres and then come back out. Dirk, though, has just begun a hot lap, so let's ride on board with him. What can he muster? He's not got a lap time on the board at the moment, but he has had quite a bit of on-track time, starting on the intermediate, so he has got that for an upper hand here as he goes through Sector 1 here. I do wonder how we can stack up versus the competition here, as now we'll go down the Wellington Straight, and in towards Brooklands and then Luffield. They come at you very quickly, and this is a really difficult corner. The tyres will be absolutely screaming through these couple of corners here, but then you have a lot of opportunity to let them breathe and let them rest as we head down this long old pit straight and in towards Cop's Corner here. And, well, he's not had a bad start to the lap here. He's not invalidated. That's a really important thing here for Dirk. He's not got a lap time on the board, so he needs to get something on that board sooner rather than later. Now through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel here and on towards the Hanger Straight. Can Dirk manage to put in a brilliant, beautiful lap here right when he needs it most? As now it's not looking too bad. Purple sector 1, green sector 2. What can he do now as he goes through the third and final sector here? He does miss the apex by a country mile, but it seems like that's a common trend to find some grip and pace around here. As now into the final couple of ends, Vale and then Club Moustache to the top. But can Dirk respond and take himself there? Max von der Gies sets the bar ever so higher into the 134s. What can Dirk do? He doesn't quite manage the 134s, but takes it to third. Not a bad lap time from him, but Max van der Geest and Moustache, even better lap times.
Well, if you're a Williams fan or if you're from the Grove area, you are very happy with how qualifying is looking for now. Volakongen is going to turn those emotions down a little bit as he beats one of the Williamses and goes to third. 2 minutes left in qualifying. You'd want to be starting your final laps soon-ish, but again, it is a balancing act because you want to wait as late as possible, and we can see a lot of traffic in that first sector. Because of it, there is a right old queue of cars. With PSGL this season, of course, remember, they don't have to worry about being impeded in qualifying. We do have ghosting enabled for qualifying sessions. Cameron Dowds is going to get his final lap underway. The Scotsman, of course, racing in his closest home circuit, so you could certainly say it's his home Grand Prix. Braking for turn number 3 now and in towards the loop around the arena section. You need to get good exit out of here. You have to be very careful on the throttle for this left-hander because it can chuck you off to that right-hand side very easily. Cameron Dowds doesn't fall for that, however, and he's going to brake for Brooklands and does find a lot of time in that first sector. Then it's just easy application of the throttle through these 2 corners. Got to be very, very careful through here because this exit will pretty much determine how your lap goes, because it's a long run down towards Copse Corner, which is a high-speed corner. You've got to push with the most amount of speed through here. Cameron Dowd, you can see, right on the limit, but very, very perfect indeed. And this is a cracking lap so far. In towards Maggots, in towards Beckett's, and then we have that Chapel Curve skating rink that it is infamously known as throughout this qualifying session. Very nice through there from Cameron Dowds. No snap out of the rear, no little kerfuffles. There is 20 seconds to go in qualifying. Still a lot of drivers only starting their laps now because they want to leave it as late as possible. Cameron Dowds has opted for the clear track. Doesn't really care much about the track improvements. He wants his skill to do the talking. Rounding through the final corner. Is it going to be enough for pole position? Certainly by the way the lap has looked, you would think so. 1.6 off. Where does he go? 1.1 clear. Phenomenal lap from one of the championship contenders.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from him, but now everybody else may have just that bit of better track condition. Tales now across the line goes second, not that far off either, only a couple of attempts there, 7.5 attempts, so maybe Tales wanting a bit more, but the track evolution has really ramped up an absolute, well, just so much. Enzo is on a huge lap, improving by 4.5 seconds at the moment. It's a green sector 1, a very competitive sector 1, a purple sector 2, so Enzo could be about to absolutely shoot up the timing sheet, but so many drivers are about to do that. But Enzo next across the line, where can he go in his qualifying pursuit? He goes to the top of the time sheets with a 1:33.579. So all of a sudden that lap from Enzo, you know, it's good, but it is going to be beaten, and it has been already 3 times.
Yes, Moustache quickest, Ryan quickest. Here comes Barak to the lap, or to the line, I should say. Can he go quickest? No, still behind his teammate. Here's the 2 Aston Martins. Rens Thomassen is only going to start 18th. Second in the championship, he will only start 18th for the British Grand Prix. It is a disastrous qualifying. Azim quickest to the bunch, the young Turkishman, phenomenal there. Max van der Geest goes quickest. Ryder Dahl, very good in wet conditions, can only go third. We're waiting on Marius. Can he do it at the death? No, he won't. It will be an Italian on pole position, but it won't be the championship leader. It will be his teammate, Brando. At the blink of, as quick as a blink of an eye, steals it right at the death. Brando P1, Max van der Geest P2. I'm not a betting man, but I don't think any bookmaker in the world would have put the odds on them two to start in the front row. Matteo in third, then it is Azim in fourth, Marios in fifth, Ryder Dahl sixth, then Moustache, Barak, Casper Flack, Oscar, Ryan, Enzo, Alpha Gully, Cameron Dowds, Paul, Dirk, Volakongen, Tales, Rens Thomassen, and Rayan. We have a lot to debunk in a couple of moments, folks. However, we won't do that until we have a quick word from our title sponsors. Welcome back, folks, to PSGL, and what an unbelievable qualifying we had. The big talking point has to be two of our championship contenders starting down the order. And Byron, tell the folks at home where Renz would have been if he hadn't have invalidated.
He would have been second. I can see it here on the telemetry. He qualified with a 1:33.139 on that final lap, which would have put him alongside Brando right at the front. But I don't know where he invalidated, but really that has absolutely killed his chances of a really good result here, because he can't start as high up as he may have won, but there's opportunities to overtake around here. So I suppose that is going to be his slight saving grace.
Yes, Renz Tomasson starts 18th, Cameron Dowd starts 14th, Matteo starts 3rd. So the championship, and Oscar starts 10th as well, I should mention. So the championship leader is certainly going to be confident coming into tonight, Byron, because Cameron and Renz will need one of their best drives ever in order to beat him.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really difficult. It's not going to be at all easy for the man who has to now start 19th. That is absolutely not where you want to be at all. So it's going to be a real difficult time, I think, for Renz Tomasson. Obviously, as you mentioned, Oscar's not where he wants to be either. So there's a few drivers that I think very unhappy with how things went in qualifying, but much to the elation of pretty much everybody who's towards that front of the field, because it was a difficult session and they made the most of it.
And Brando as well, phenomenal pole position from him. I believe his first ever pole in PSGL F1 last season. Of course, he finished 10th in the championship, and what a phenomenal pole position it was for him. He starts alongside Max von der Geest in second. Max, of course, no poles last season either. No pole here tonight, but second, still a great starting spot. And that's going to be a very interesting run down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just seen this in the Discord. Dirk is really baffled here. He just said, "How am I so slow?" He genuinely, these drivers, they put their heart and soul into all of their practice, into all of their qualifying, but sometimes they just look at the result they get out of qualifying and they just have to ask themselves, why am I so slow? And I think definitely Dirk's going to be thinking that. A bit of, obviously we know that kind of it's disappointing when you've got Renz Tomasson starting so far down, but he knows the pace is there. Dirk was really just a bit lost all session, I think, and for a driver who's known to kind of always be up towards the top, he's got a lot of questions to answer, I think, going into this race.
Yes, he absolutely does. 48% of you voted for Renz Tomasson to take pole position. Whoops, I guess. That was a bit of a mistake, wasn't it? He will start this Grand Prix from 19th position, ahead of Rayan in 20th. Two drivers who are usually near the top of these races, they start very, very low. About the circuit, of course, though, Silverstone we are racing at tonight on the site of RAF Silverstone, the former World War II Royal Air Force Bombers Station. It is a 5.891 kilometre circuit, or 3.661 miles, 18 corners, and a lap record that, quite ironically, is held by Max Verstappen. About 40 gear changes a lap here for these drivers. They'll try stay in the same gear for the Maggot, Speckets and Chapel complex, as well as just keeping the gears consistent. It's had many an upgrade in the past. The new starting grid installed in 2011, of course, as many different circuit variations since its first ever race here in 1950, the first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix, and it's going to be an exciting one, Byron, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be really interesting. We've got a bit of a shaken up grid order. You could have put all the names into a hat and draw them out, and you'd probably get a grid similar to what we've got tonight. There's a few surprises kind of up and down the order. So it's going to be really interesting. And we're not that far away from getting underway, as all the drivers are readying up. They'll put on their setups and do their strategies, and then we will go racing. And I think we have got an absolutely phenomenal 26 laps ahead of us.
Strategy, I suppose, is a fairly simple one round here. It's going to be the one stopper, and it's probably going to be medium hard or some variation, although with it being, I suppose, one of the shorter races, we might see a gamble on the softs, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is also going to be very dependent on what happens in the race. We've got a lot of kind of variables at play here, especially with this kind of track. So it could be a case that drivers opt to go start on the softs, see where they get in this race, or start on the mediums and see how far they can take them. I think that's going to be the most likely strategy. But strategy doesn't matter because it's
Yeah.
raining once again.
Yeah, forget about strategy. That matters not. We won't see DRS really in play either. Byron, I know you're not necessarily a regular around these parts, but you are unfortunately going to have to take on a regular tradition. Who's your prediction for this one?
Oh dear. Who do I pick for being good in the wet? You know what? I'm gonna go for Rayan, starting, in a decent-ish place.
Rayan.
I don't know why.
Rayan starts
Well,
last.
actually, yeah. My telemetry doesn't have the up-to-date grid order, so I may have just absolutely fumbled that. Let's not go with Rayan. Let's have another look. It's been so long. I'm gonna go with Casper Flack.
Okay.
That's an out there one, but I'm sticking with that. I think that's I'm gonna fruition it. I'm gonna be there doing a little rain dance and cheering on for him in the corner.
Yeah, it's unorthodox, but I don't mind it. The journeyman Casper Flack to win this one, says Byron, was second last season in PSGL F2, got 2 wins to his name, 6 podiums. He doesn't have either here in PSGL F1, but he would like to change that tonight, and he will have to put on a bit of a performance here at a very soggy Silverstone if he would like to take this race win. Heading into tonight, of course, Matteo top of the standings, Rens Thomassen in second, just 3 points ahead of Oscar in third. Then was Cameron Dowds and Dirk near top 5. 4 of them 5 start 10th or lower. So there is a real opportunity for a surprise result, such as Casper Flack, who might go on to win this race. But buckle your seatbelts, folks, because we are going to have a brilliant race. I think someone in the YouTube chat has just said it's great weather for ducks. It really is. It's great weather for ducks, swans, any sort of pond creatures, I suppose. Boats, great weather for boats as well. And these F124 cars are probably going to be a little bit like boats. They have enough smoke coming out of them to be confused with a modern day cruise ship. But that is a point for later on. I tell you what, though, we are taking our time getting ready.
Absolutely, yeah, we really are. It's not often you get a wait that's quite this long, especially when it comes to these drivers. They're always quite eager to get ready, but I suppose after a wet qualifying, they might be taking their time just to kind of make a few setup tweaks, make a few alterations there, and kind of see what they can do to try and bolster their pace, especially those further back on the grid. They've got a bit more to answer for. They've had a full 18 minutes. They might have an idea as to what to do to try and fix that setup, fix their strategy, and give themselves the best chance here. So that might be why we're taking that little bit longer, just because these drivers, are trying to get as much pace out of this setup, and they know that the moment they press ready up, that is it. It's locked in. They cannot change it. So getting it right, especially with a wet race, really, really important, really difficult to kind of manage and make sure you've got that spot on. So, hey, if it means we get better racing, I'm all for it.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of adjustments going on, simply, as here we go. We are finally ready to go, and the 5 red lights are coming out. It is Brando on pole alongside Max von der Geest as we go racing here in Silverstone. It's a very slow launch, but a brilliant one from Brando. Matteo all over the tail of Max von der Geest, heading through turn number 2 and in towards turn number 3. Azim potentially going to lunge one down the inside. Matteo goes for the early move on the Williams, trying to make it a Ferrari 1-2. There's a little bit of swapping and changing. Ryan's got a fast start. He's up 3 spots. His V-Carb teammate Marius down 1 and just very squirrely off the exit. Mustache looking to try and make a move down towards the left-hander at Brooklands. Rens Thomassen certainly not dwelling in his poor qualifying performance. He's already up 5 positions as there is contact made. Casper Flack has got a nick on the rear from Barak, but they can both carry on, I think, damage-free.
Indeed, yeah, Casper Flack up 1 place as well there. Oscar moving up 1 as well. I think Barak's down 2 places there on the opening lap so far, but Brando controlling the race nicely out in front. 5/10 the gap between himself and Max von der Gies, now 6/10. So he's pulling away quite nicely here. If he gets this gap to over a second, it won't matter too much. But I suppose the advantage of getting that gap as big as possible is the advantage of slipstream. Even in a wet race, even in this sort of conditions, slipstream still has quite a big impact. So you want to do what you can to try and build that gap up. And 8/10 is not a bad start for the opening lap as Azam close to the back of Max von der Gies, but no one really doing too much as Casper Flack down the inside of Moustache, up into 7th place. I picked him for the win, and he's already made a few moves there, so I am feeling quite quietly confident in this at the moment. A good start for the ET8 man, who now in 7th, but now side by side through the final corner. Here go Moustache, and wow, that is brilliant to hold 2 cars side by side through there. It's almost like a through goes Hamilton moment as Moustache retakes that place back up into 7th. But they've lost a few tenths off the back of Marios in their pursuit to go side by side.
Yes, Oscar now trying to attack Casper Flack in towards the left-hander, but Barak is giving it all around the outside of the Mercedes. He's now side by side with Cameron Dowds, and Cameron on the inside will just be able to keep it flat-ish through there, certainly flatter than Barak. And he will get ahead of the Haasman. Moves from Ryan as well. Once one car loses a spot, it is kind of causing a bit of a domino effect here. And that driver is immediately put under pressure from the car behind. As you can see, once again, Rens Tomassen from almost nowhere sneaks his way through, and he is now pushing the Haas down towards Copse Corner. Not necessarily something you want to do in a Formula 1 car. These things can be made of, well, Lego almost at some point, but Rens Tomassen is going to be just nudging Barak and gently hinting to him to let me through. I have bigger ambitions than a fight for 11th, says Rens Tomassen. Barak, however, will be giving it his all to defend his place. Up the front, Brando, 4/10 of a second, still your race leader. Max von der Gies in 2nd with Azim in 3rd. Really good performance so far this from ET8 Azim, now the permanent Alpine driver. Only 15 years of age is Azim, and he is looking to try and make an impact. Down the inside goes Rens Tomassen. He's looking to try and make a place. Now has the outside line on Barak here. We saw one Haas pull off this move on the last lap. We're going to see the move being pulled off against the Haas here. Rens Tomassen slides his way over the curb, still fully committed to the overtake, and now has got it done. Really superb racing.
Indeed, and I don't think he managed, I think he got a warning though, unfortunately, for that running light moment on the exit, so got to manage those warnings as much as he can, because Dirk already falling susceptible to a 3-second time penalty, and Rens has already got a warning to his name, so got to be careful here so early on in the race, especially at this sort of track. You can really rack up penalties here, so Rens Tomassen now got a little bit of time to find to get within that 1-second window and hopefully get a little bit more slipstream the closer he gets to the back of Cameron Dowds. But an impressive start from Rens Tomassen, up 8 places already from 19th to 11th. That is not bad going.
And as we're looking at the aerial shot, you can just see the dry line starting to form a little bit out on circuit. You can also see a load of smoke, but that is separate. It is the dry line on the racing track that you are looking for, and you can just see the darker groove heading through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel as Alpha Gully adventuring off it, and you can see the consequences. You will get a little bit of a brief panic as your car no longer grips the surface. The difference between, of course, the intermediates and the wets compared to the slick tyres is these tyres have grooves in them for displacing the water. That is why they have to run a specific tyre for these conditions. Fastest laps are going in though, which indicates that the track is slowly getting drier. Casper Flack holds the fastest lap now at a 38.7. Brando still your race leader, but is under pressure from Max von der Gies in 2nd. Azim there in 3rd, Matteo 4th, and Ryder Dahl rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, a very good start to this race. Obviously not too many moves, but it's difficult to make the moves here. But Casper Flack was looking quite close to making a move there on Moustache, once again trying to re-get that 7th place that he got quite early on in this race. but just got a bit crossed up on the exit of Aintree and not able to make that place. But really a statement here from Casper Flack, making a move nice and early on and really applying the pressure to Moustache. And that's what you've got to do, especially in these wet conditions. Apply the pressure, make that intent known, and see if that driver makes that little mistake. Because if they do, you could be all over them in an absolute heartbeat here. And someone who is all over another car in an absolute heartbeat is Ryderdale, who is really close behind Matteo at the moment. But as is Azam on Max van der Geest, this is just really close at the front at the moment. No one really got much of a pace advantage over another driver. It is super, super close.
It is super close, and the Ferrari maybe just sensing an imminent threat from Max van der Geest there in second. Has more battery, does Brando, than Max, and you can see there was someone else trying to go around the outside through there. That's ambitious. In conditions such as these, down the inside, I believe one of the V-Carbs is trying to make a move stick as well. Cameron Dowds is also trying to get past Oscar. And although Cameron is trying to cut through the field, he's got quick cars in front of him, and that is making life very, very difficult for the multi-time race winner here in PSGL F1. Rens Thomason now holds the fastest lap of the race. He is 9/10 of a second behind Cameron. Cameron ideally doesn't want to get squabbling with Rens. He wants to stay in front of him for as long as possible. Both have had good starts to the race, consistent starts. They just need to get that little bit more before the pit stop window.
Indeed, yeah. Well, I mean, we've got pretty much rain the entire of this race, so, you know, it'll be interesting to see, because someone may try that gamble and see if they can run the entire race, manage the tyres, and take it all the way to the end. But really interesting at the moment, just to see, you know, kind of the little half-hearted moves and just kind of the intent from some of these drivers. It really does, it's always interesting to see kind of how they pull out and make themselves known to the car behind, and just apply that pressure on psychologically, even if they're not thinking about a move right there and then, just kind of making it known that you're there and you want this place, kind of can really have an impact on a driver's pace of performances. Now, Azam is not too far off Max van der Geest, but it does seem that Azam loses a little bit of time along the straight pretty much every lap or so, but he didn't lose any of that occasion. But at the moment, very close. Casper Flag is very close to the back of Moustache, who's very close to the back of Marios. And is there going to be a dive down the inside? It was an intent for a dive, but Matteo and Ryderdale are going to go side by side through the final corner. Not again. How many drivers are going to try this side by side through the final corner? It's worked every time. And now they'll go side by side through turn one. Oh, that could have ended in disaster. But Ryderdale now in that fourth place. Matteo in fifth. And, well, as it was, but very, very brilliant and bold moving there, as there's another move between Marios and Moustache. Moustache sensing an opportunity down the inside there and going through Aintree. Have they got a better exit than the V-Carb in front? No, they haven't, as now Casper having to try and defend a little bit here from Oscar as well. Could be susceptible to the switchback. Surely not around the outside for Oscar here. He can't manage around the outside. The rear end gets all screwed up, and he will now lose the place to Cameron Downs, who's going to have the inside line. Surely not side by side through Cop's corner. We don't want to see this. This would be absolute carnage if it was to happen. Oh, brilliantly held. Cameron Downs and Oscar. That's how you go side by side through Cops. Lovely stuff from the pair of them. Now 3 wide. Oh, it's a Magus Beckers, a Chapel. Oh, it's not ended in disaster. And I have no idea how. Beautiful stuff there. Rens Thomason, 2 places there. Cameron Downs and Oscar made to look like absolute tools there.
Rens Thomason has just done a double overtake into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Ryan has just done a double overtake round the outside, almost a triple overtake. This is insanely exciting racing. Oscar's lost a handful of positions. Rowan a nudge as well from Rayanne, breaking in towards the chicane. Oscar just a little bit of a snap, but survives, and you can see he is a little bit out of shape. Probably wondering what in the world has just happened. Rens Thomason with a stroke of genius in towards Maggots. That was absolutely excellent from all involved. Ryderdale was able to get past Matteo, and of course Ryderdale teammates with Rens Thomason. And that is doing a job for the Aston Martin team. It's all settled down just a little bit, but we are really being treated to some absolutely fantastic racing so far here this evening. Azim still not able to get past Max van der Geest, but he is saving a significant amount more battery. Ryder Dahl is hot on the heels as Casper Flack is going to look to try and get past Mustache. Casper going to try and go the long way about it. There's not much grip off the racing line there, so that will invite Mustache to get back in front. But now this is where the racing line and the grip kicks back in for Casper Flack. He's able to run alongside the Haas in towards Kopp's corner. And is he going to stick it around the outside? Yes, he absolutely is. Just braves it out, gets the job completed, and Casper Flack really is having a good time here at Silverstone.
Yeah, he's the man on an absolute mission at the moment, as is Rens Thomassen, who I boldly and very silly almost said as my prediction for the race win, and he's actually not having as bad of a race as I think we thought he was going to have. He's up 10 places. He's having a good race so far. He's made a few brilliant overtakes as well, and I dare say he may be about to make another one in a couple of moments' time here, as down into Vale we go. Oh, he was very close to the back of Mustache there. Doesn't make the move on that occasion, but absolutely, if he wanted to, could have tried and made that move, but to no avail on this occasion. But Casper Flack there in 7th. Now the order running on lap 8 of 26. Brando leading the way, followed by Max van der Geest, Azem, then Ryderdale, Matteo, Marios, Casper Flack, who's up a few places, Mustache, Rens Thomassen, and Ryan there rounding out your top 10, but that might be about to change as Rens Thomassen tries an audacious around the outside there, but on the exit of Aintree, has he got the better exit here? He may have compromised the entry, but has he got the exit to then sling it down the inside into Brooklands? He absolutely has, and he's made that move on Mustache. Very, very nice from Rens Thomassen, who has now got himself firmly into the mix for the race win here. So early on as well, he's having a great race.
It's a drive of a potential champion for Rens Thomassen so far. This has really been superb in Silverstone, and I wouldn't count him out of the win just yet. Even after that disastrous qualifying, Casper Flack is almost the next victim of a move in towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, and I can't imagine Rens Thomassen is going to be hanging around for too much longer behind the Sauber in front in towards the slipstream. Battery is burning, Rens Thomassen is charging, and he's looking for the overtake in towards Stowe, gaining and gaining. Casper Flack defends to the inside, Thomassen tries the outside. He's got a lot of overspeed at the apex of the corner, but there's no move on there for the Aston Martin. He will have to sit behind for the time being. Casper survives in 7th position. Marios just in front of these. Still the top 3 remain as they are here on lap 8 of 26. The race leader Brando actually sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 1:37.4. So the track improving every single time and every single position it seems. Casper Flack slow for the first corner. Defends Rens Thomassen here in towards turn number 3. Rens is going to try the switchback. He's going to try the switchback in towards turn number 4. Now it's the long way around the outside. A very difficult move. He's left adequate space by Casper Flack. Falls behind his fellow Dutchman in front. Back into the slipstream goes Rens Thomassen, looking for the outside line, heading through Brooklands, and now you can just see Casper just remain on the apex of the corner. A stunning defensive effort so far.
Yeah, as you see Mustache and Cameron Dales battling in the background, and all Mustache getting a little bit crossed up as he exits of the out of Luffield and down the straight there and towards Kopp's corner, and it's really interesting to see these drivers now. They've got a bit of a groove going. It's really difficult. Rens Thomassen now ahead of Casper Flack there as they went through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, and now on the exit Casper Flack will have to settle down in 8th, and Rayan makes that move up into 10th as well. So Rayan as well, shout out to Rayan, started 20th up into 10th. So really the drivers who started lower down have not had a bad race at all. However, Dirk, he's going to be just as baffled. He said his pace was atrocious in the Discord after qualifying. It's not looking much better for the race.
No, not a good race for Dirk as we complete the 10th lap of 26. Rens Thomassen. That's the fastest one so far, but that is beaten by Volokonkan, who is down in 20th position here, disappointingly for him. It goes to show how really up and down qualifying was. I remember Volokonkan going 2nd at one point, but he is now down in 20th here. still within the train. Everybody is still together, so anything could still really happen. We do expect most of the drivers to make pit stops just due to the tyre wear of the intermediates, but there'll always be one who's going to try gamble and try wait for a late race safety car. Oscar's able to get past Mustache, or is he? He's forced to the outside line and just tries to slide his way around the outside, but there is no go there. Now into the slipstream of Mustache in front. Not going to be close enough in towards Cop's corner. He might be able to pull off the Tomasin move in towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. No, Mustache very confident for the apex of the corner there, not able to make the move, and Mustache will remain in 12th position. Just the one win last season for Mustache in his PSF2 campaign, but points is really the goal here in F1 for him, and doing a good job of that. Down in 11. Swap for the race lead. Max van der Geest finally gets ahead of Brando, but Brando's going to shoot straight back past him. Sells Max van der Geest a dream of the race lead and just takes it straight back off him.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant switchback there from Brando as Max van der Geest went a little bit wide off the exit of Stowe, and we've seen a lot of drivers going wide off the exit of Stowe. You would have thought they'd take that entry a little bit more cautiously just to not make that mistake quite as much, but everyone seems to think that just running that a little bit wider, there's a little bit more pace there. Dirk comes into the pit lane. He's the first driver to make a pit stop, and he's got to do something in this race to try and get something out of this one. But Brando now continues to lead the way after a short change for the lead, and Azim might have seen that and been rehearsing how he might make a move for the overtake if he's able to get up into that P2 spot. But noticing that a few gaps are beginning to open up, Casper Flack just falling ever so briefly out of that second window between himself and Rens Tomasin. But not looking too bad at the moment for Max van der Geest or Azim, both of whom have got good pressure on Brando. But because of how close and evenly matched these guys are, it is really difficult for them as Azim runs wide there through Cop's corner, loses the place to Ryderdale, who now takes third place quite nice and easily there. And now he has got a chance to try and make an overtake here on Max van der Geest and get himself properly in a chance of contention, as Matteo is going to sniff a chance at overtaking Azim, who's been running third most of this race and is now, in the span of one lap, fallen to fifth as Max van der Geest has lost a few places there on the exit, down to sixth. Will it be seventh as Rens Tomasin goes down the inside, side by side there through the final couple of ends, as there's also side by side between the race leader, Ryderdale and Brando. And now Ryderdale, he's gone from, well,
Fourth to first in literally less than half a lap. Unbelievable from Ryderdale. Really impressive stuff, and the two Ferraris are starting to scrap now as well. The wheels are falling off for Brando's race lead. Max van der Geest took the race lead through Stowe 1 lap ago. He fell to sixth this time round. Goes to show how close they are at the front of this race. Azim as well trying to recover from a mistake in towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. The rain is still pouring. The Ferraris are looking to swap in towards Brooklands, and it is going to be Matteo who gets ahead of Brando. Brando gives him a very wide berth, does not want to make contact with the championship leader. Matteo's made a mistake mid-corner. That invites Brando back through. The two Scarlet Reds are pointing out here in the dark, dull sky of Silverstone, but they are definitely in the line of sight of Azim, who is looking to try get past both. Ryderdale's pulled 1 second over Brando and Matteo. Azim is gaining, and the gaps are all closing in towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, but there is no move on. There might be down towards Stowe, however. For some of these guys, Brando will be getting no benefits of slipstream in front. Everybody else will. Matteo's on the battery button, wants to try and get past Brando. If these two are both planning a pit stop, this is a very important overtake for who gets priority. Matteo is into second place and ahead of his teammate. No one else was able to make the swap unless they're brave on the brakes in towards the chicane. Azim looked for it but could not find what he was looking for.
Indeed, it's getting really heated now up here, but this is a really good opportunity for Ryderdale to run off into the sunset, although the sun isn't quite visible here. But Ryderdale's got a good opportunity to try and make up a few seconds here, possibly, as he just has a good opportunity with Matteo and Brando battling, going side by side, and now you see Azim trying to make that move and back up onto the podium here, as everyone seems to be trying to shift about, make overtakes, gain places whereabouts they can, as Casper Flack in the background is battling with Cameron Dowds. May lose a place there, but Azim maybe gaining a place versus Brando here as they go side by side through Brooklands, now into Luffield, and trying to hold it around the outside. Azim not able to make it on this occasion, but now we'll have a bit of slipstream here down the straight, down towards Cop's corner, and the attempted overtake is certainly letting Brando know that there is pressure from behind, and he's got to make a move, and well, Mateo and Brando have got to try and close this gap to Ryderdale out in front now.
Brando has to try act as a moving chicane for his teammate in front. Just try keep everybody behind, keep no pressure on Mateo, and allow Mateo to chase after Ryderdale in front and in the lead of this race. One mover in towards Stowe this time, and that is Cameron Dowds, who stays in front of Ryan, the German, looking for the move past the Scotsman. Is he going to be able to go down the inside here? No, he isn't. Chooses to stay behind and doesn't want to lose a huge amount of time because he is in good position. Not quite point scoring position as of now, but only the one spot away from it. Ryan knows there could be something in this race. His luck is in his favour. Max von der Geest in 6th has recovered from whatever happened to him and whatever went wrong in towards Stowe. He is under pressure from Rens Thomassen, however. Rens Thomassen on the outside line. We saw him pull off this move earlier on in the race. Max von der Geest is a little bit boxed in by the RB in front. There's a little bit of a front, there's a little bit of a nick of the front wing for Rens Thomassen. No visual damage, but I hope nothing has fallen off that as a result, because he is having a stellar drive. Pivots to the outside, does Rens Thomassen, and he's trying to go the long way on Max von der Geest. He is trying to go the long way, and that has worked out quite beautifully for Rens Thomassen. Just leaned on the Williams, made it stick. Thomassen really is having the time of his life in what's been an unbelievable comeback drive so far. His teammate might lead the race, but Thomassen is stealing all the headlines.
Yeah, he's having a great race so far. You know, he really has absolutely blitzed it, going from the position he's in now from 6th all the way from 19th. That is just such a phenomenal race from him. And I'm just checking on the status of Rens Thomassen. It doesn't appear he's got any damage in that incident there between himself and Max von der Geest. That little moment that we thought may cause a little bit of damage, nothing in it. So yeah, nothing to the detriment of his race. As we see our first pit stops, and it's Azim, the first man into the pit lane. Oh, and speeding in the pit lane. Well, that is going to be a massive detriment to his race now, and that will undoubtedly take him out of contention here. And the weather, by the way, labelled as storm. How are they managing to keep these intermediate tyres on the road?
Yes, lap 15 and 26, we have two pitters in the form of Casper Flack and in the form of Azim, and that is swap. Or sorry, that dumps them down the order for the time being anyways. It is still Ryderdale who leads as Dirk speeding in the pit lane. I imagine a retirement is going to be imminent for Dirk, although he has just hit the fastest lap of the race while in the pit lane, so God only knows. Tales has taken it immediately, and there is Dirk's retirement. Disappointing day for Dirk. 5th in the championship, was really on a strong string of results and a strong run of form, but unfortunately today is not that day. Ryderdale, your race leader, Mateo in 2nd, and Mateo really has closed this down gap, or has closed this gap down nicely, I should say, and is potentially looking for 2 wins in a row. He's the only repeat winner this season. He's won 3 races as it is. If he could win 4, it would be very reminiscent of his title-winning season 2 wins ago. But a lot of work to do for him. Rens Thomassen potentially going to look for the move on Marios in towards Stowe. Not quite able to get it. Oh, if he could sneak up the inside there. No, that's even a bit much for Rens Thomassen's standards. And now he's into the pit lane.
Indeed, a few drivers in. Ryderdale speeding in the pit lane as well. What is happening here? Everyone seems to be speeding on that pit entry.
Oh, that's disastrous for Ryderdale.
Yeah, as Rens Thomassen comes in, he's not sped in the pit lane, but double stacking Aston Martin there. Is Rens Thomassen going to lose any time? He does. He loses a few tenths of a second here in his pit stop as well. So a choice made, but a choice that has lost him a few tenths of a second. And when the margins are so fine, that could be a position or two lost by Rens Thomassen just because he double stacked with his teammate.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about that one, unless he just didn't know that Ryder Dow was coming into the pit lane. You've got to be so careful on pit exit here. You don't want to spin up the rears, as Rens Thomason is now about 4 seconds, 3.5 behind Casper Flack in front. So very intriguing decisions across the board. It is now Brando, your race leader, Marios in second, and then Max van der Geest in third. Ryder Dahl still your provisional race leader in the pitters, but crucially now has that speeding in the pit lane penalty that will dump him down the order. So Matteo inherits your provisional race lead. There's going to be someone who's going to try and stick it out here in this set of intermediates. Maybe not Marios, because that snap is not a good look, and that's now going to invite Max van der Geest to try and make the move down round the outside, I should say, and retake second position that he held earlier in the race. A lot more confidence for the Dutchman on the Cypriot. Job done.
Indeed, yeah, job done really nicely as well, as Max van der Geest and Marios will carry on. Brando into the pit lane and crucially does not speed into the pit lane. That's really important now with 2 10-second time penalties for speeding. Good opportunity for everyone who's a little bit outside of the points to gain a few places, and even more crucial for those in front not to speed into that pit lane to gain those places, gain that advantage, and not fall susceptible to the very same mistake that they've made. But Max van der Geest leads here, followed by Marios, who lost that place just a lap ago, as Azam, the fastest lap time here at the moment. As everybody begins to pit, Ryderdale still leading the way, Matteo now in second, and Azam in third there of your provisional race leaders once everybody comes into the pit lane, but 2 of those 10-second time penalty for speeding.
Yes, and they won't be removed, unfortunately, by the post-race stewards. You're going to have to live and die by the sword with that one, I'm afraid. Your provisional race leader is still Matteo, even with more pitters this time round. Funnily enough, Brando ending up behind Casper Flack. So the earlier these drivers pit, the better. But that obviously will cancel out when in late race, when Brando will have much fresher tyres than Casper Flack. So we will see how this one plays out. Rens Thomason is slowly cutting down the extra time loss he suffered because of the double stack. He's almost within a second of Brando in front, and that would put him in real strong contention. The 2 RBs are battling, heading in towards the chicane. This again could decide the pit stop phase. It's going to be Rayan who slings it around the outside of Marios, and that is the Algerian Frenchman up and ahead.
Indeed, yeah, really good to see at the moment getting in this race. Those that are staying out, they're not necessarily going to gain too much time, but if they do pit, they've got a bit of a tyre offset. But it looks like those who are still out on inters are staying here until the end of the race, because, and to be fair, there's a decent chunk of them doing this. So there's a real good chance that those who are, 11th and down, those who've pit, may not be able to gain all of these places back, because that's a lot of overtakes to make. And with just 9 laps to go in this race, it's going to be quite hit and miss as to whether they're able to make all of those places between now and the checkered flag, as Marios has a bit of a rear-end moment there on the exit of Luffield there, and now onto the old pitch straight here, not obviously being overtaken by Cameron Dowds. But at the moment, I'm not sure the 0 stop may actually be the way to go, just because there are so many drivers who've opted to try it.
Yeah, but the bad tyre wear still hasn't kicked in just yet. And once that kicks in, the pace advantage is going to be unbelievable. So it's still up for debate just yet. Both sides definitely have an argument. We will see how it goes in due course. Enzo looking to get past Paul. This is in the battle for 7th. Sauber versus Red Bull, and Enzo's car almost rotated around fully as he went alongside Paul, just lost all his aerodynamic grip, and you can see Paul now trying to just about stay in front. Real argy-bargy at the apex of the corner. Enzo didn't fancy a fair bit of contact through the chicane and decided to just run wide. Might have picked up a warning for his troubles, but did not pick up any damage. Crucially, 19th lap of 26. If you're just joining us, folks, perfect timing. We've got a great finale on our hands, and if you could, take the time out to subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. We would greatly appreciate it. As always, Barak, 3-second time penalty. Rens Thomason, fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
Indeed, and I've just had a little look at the tyre wear because we were saying about is it hitting, is it going to be too bad? At the moment, the front tyres aren't looking too bad. I'm looking at Marios here, 35 on the left, 21 on the right, but the rears are struggling, 55 on the rear left and 42 on the rear right. So that is where they're really struggling here. Those rear tyres are absolutely really struggling. And, well, they are definitely going to struggle to make it to the end of the race at the moment. It's just as to how much time Ryderdale and that train behind can gain in the remaining 7 laps. It's going to be really difficult, but anything is possible here.
They would hope that more people would have pit, because although Ryderdale has caught 3 seconds in 2.5-ish laps, he still has to pass 10 cars if he wants to get in the lead of this race. Obviously that is the same for Matteo, the same for Azid, the same for Casper Flag, the same for all of them. They would have hoped that a few more came into the pit lane, but I can't really see them doing it now. They have commit to the no stopper and they're going to try and do that. Look, you can just see them all trying the old tactic of pulling back into the puddles on the main straight to try and cool your tyres. A tactic that Michael Schumacher used an awful lot in his Formula 1 racing career. They are all trying it here just to cool the fronts, cool the rears, and to keep as much grip as possible. Ryan, however, is going for the race lead in towards Brooklands. He's on the battery button and he might try it here on Max van der Geest. Obviously feels that he's got a lot more grip than the Dutchman in front. Doesn't really, because Max has got the better run through the corner, funnily enough.
Yeah, really interesting to see this battle at the moment, and whilst we had a little bit of a moment, I thought I'd take a look to see where we're doing in terms of the times. And it is not.
Oh, here we go.
Great.
Brilliant from Rayan down the inside in towards Cobb's corner. Gets the job done. Brave, very brave. Sorry for jumping over you there, Byron, but that was really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Rayan, brilliant move there into Cobb's corner and caught Max van der Geest a little bit off guard, I think, as well, as he ran wide there on the exit. But the gap between the tyres at the moment, the last lap time for Ryderdale was a 1:35.4. The lap for the race leader was a 1:37.2. There's about a 1.8 second a lap difference. So at the moment, looking at the gap between the two of them, which is 12.2, it's not going to be enough laps for Ryderdale to make it at the moment. So really interesting to see. Alpha Gully, though, into the pit lane. That's really interesting. With not that long to go, that's a bit of an interesting choice from Alpha Gully.
Yeah, Alpha Gully has... Oh, actually, that's a crash. That's Tellez who's gone off into the final corner. Or into the final section, I should say. No safety car or anything, crucially. So that's big, but that's McLaren's chances of points in this race just gone a-begging for both their cars. Alpha Gully strategy, something he struggled with maybe a little bit in the past, saving the tyres, and now he is down to 18, but could have picked up damage or anything. There could be numerous reasons for what the issue is there. Rayan and Max van der Geest probably have just realised that they've got a realistic chance of a race win here, because in the last couple of laps this fight has spiced up an awful lot and they are both really going for this one. They're not conserving as much as possible, and they might have just realised that this could be on. This could be on for both F2 graduates, not this season. They were both here in F1 last season. They have both made the step up here. And here comes Max van der Geest going for the move. Got to try it on the inside of Rayan. Rayan has given him that inside line. And Max van der Geest is surely going to take this one. Yes, or is he actually? Might have been too early to call it. Rayan tried the long way, but will inevitably lose out. The Williams is ahead as we head on to lap 22. Finally, Matteo has overtaken Ryderdale. He's overtaken Volakongan as well in towards Stowe. And Matteo is starting to cut into the no-stoppers, but needs a huge performance, even bigger than the gap he closed last week on Rennes Thomasin in Monaco in the dying stages, if he wants to try and take his 4th win of the season.
Exactly, and I'm looking at the lap time he's just set as he's just come across the line, and the lap he just set was a 1:35.2, which again, 1.8 seconds faster than the race leader, who is Rayan at the moment. So, still, at the moment, not enough laps in it for any change, so the zero stop seems to be the strategy to go for, and it seems to be working, but as we said, only because so many drivers have opted to do it today.
Usually for Rayan, the highs of a PSGL race day come in qualifying when he puts in an absolute barnstormer, just like he did last week in Monaco, just like he's done time and time again. But now it might come in the form of a race win. The RB, of course, no race wins last season, but did have 2 podiums and 4 pole positions. It really would mean something if he could take this one, but long way to go. A lot of racing to happen. Keep an eye on Cameron Dowds in 3rd, because he is still giving it everything. And look at this, Max van der Kiest is being pushed onto the grass on the run towards Stowe. No, you don't, says Rayan. He fancies leading another lap as we head on to 23 at 26.
Yeah, brilliant stuff between these two to try and keep the action clean and fair between the two of them, especially when there's so much on the line. They both want this race win. They've both taken a gamble, and it seems like it's going to pay off for both of them. But only one of them can win it, and they would both dearly love to be that driver to take the race win here today. But Rayan doing enough at the moment. Cameron Dowds as well. Shout out to him. He had a difficult start to his race, but now running obviously 3rd on that podium. Got Ryan and Marios behind, and yeah, plenty for the thoughts of those who did pit, because it's just not necessarily been the right direction to go in, as Matteo is still, not in any way doing enough to really get up towards the top of the field. Definitely going to be good points for Matteo, definitely going to be a 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, but not enough to really be quite what Matteo would have wanted, as Mustache gets a 3-second time penalty, and that will certainly help the likes of Matteo, who makes it up to 8th. So now maybe the tyre wear really beginning to hit those 0 stoppers, as now Matteo is up into 8th and getting on the back of Enzo really quickly, and could be about to make this move on the exit and in towards Stowe. You would have thought was on the exit. Matteo was just going to have that much more grip, that much more ability to put the foot to the floor, and nice and easily done for Matteo, who's now up into 7th. 2 seconds to find to get ahead of Mustache. What can he manage beyond there? That is the question.
He's running out of time, but he can also see the 2 race leaders. This really would be something if Matteo could pull this one off. He is still outscoring his championship rivals, however, so it still will be a fairly positive afternoon for Matteo. All of his rivals, bar Cameron Dowds, who is in 3rd. But we're on the 3rd lap, 3rd final lap, I should say. We're well past the 3rd lap. And it's not looking good for Matteo in terms of the race win, which would have been the goal considering the early race pace he's had. It is drying up an awful lot here in Silverstone, which admittedly you would think would suit the interslicks that Rayan, Max, and etc. are running on, but it probably won't, because their tyre wear is so bad. Crucially, despite their squabbling, the gap to Cameron Dowds is not closing too much. So if it remains like this, it will be a fight between 2 TF10 drivers, both for their first PSF1 win of the season, and ever.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be really sensational either way it does go, and Cameron Dowds, I think he'll be a little bit gutted not to be more in the mix here for the race win. But Ryderdale now watching as Matteo makes the move on Mustache, and now up into 6th, and will very quickly gain pace onto the back of Marios here. So he's only got about 4 seconds between himself and the race leader, and that gap is just plummeting. As he's really got a bit of clean air, being able to really push and get a lot out of these tyres. And now once he's made a move, each couple of seconds, straight onto the next one. It really is looking good for Matteo at the moment. It would be sensational to take it as we head on to the penultimate lap of this race. 2 laps to go. And Matteo, he's in with a very slim chance, but he's still in with a chance.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. It could still be on. If it was just raw natural lap time, he would do this, but it's because he has to overtake so many cars. None have penalties. There's no outside advantage other than his skill and his tyre wear. He's going to dispatch one of them now in the form of Marios in the RB, heading down towards the left-hander. Let's wait and see. It's a big dive from Matteo. It's now or never for the Scuderia Ferrari, and that is the move complete. As there is a car off! Oh, it's Rayan! Rayan's gone off, and is that a puncture? Is that a puncture for the RB? I'm not too sure.
It is.
It is. It's a puncture for the RB. This has taken a real turn. It's getting very, very close.
It is, and it's absolutely not what Rayan would have wanted. A rear left puncture going through Lutfield as well. A corner that's quite demanding on that left-hand side, just because of the way Brooklands has already put a bit of pain through those tyres. So absolutely gutting for Rayan, and I wonder if this could be a sign of things to come. We've seen this at Silverstone with a few laps to go before. Could we be about to repeat history? Could we be about to repeat history just in the wet this time? Could we have a limp to the line with a puncture on the car? It could be absolutely anything here, as now we head on to the final lap of action here. Max von der Geest leads, followed by Cameron Dowds, Ryan, and then Matteo in fourth.
Look at this.
He's about to make it third. Absolutely brilliant.
Matteo makes the move down the inside, and he is up to third place. This is on. This is on for the one-time PSF1 champion and for the one-time PSF2 champion. This absolutely is on. It's time for Max and Cameron to get elbows out, as we've had some unbelievable last laps in PSGL F1 in the past. Here we go again. Let's have it.
We've had a second puncture.
Matteo's going to go for it. We've got a second puncture. There's a car falling down the field, but Cameron and Max are going to be just hoping that there is no punctures in store for them. Matteo is now taking his time. He knows that this is all under his control. Max is just coasting through the corners, trying to save it here on lap number 26. This would mean an awful lot to all three of them, and they are all doing absolutely everything possible to take this race win. Through Cop's corner comes Matteo, comes Max, comes Cameron. Matteo is trying to sense his first overtaking opportunity. He's waiting, he's trying to bide his time, and he is going to go onto the 770-meter hanger straight with an unbelievable launch of straight line speed. Here we go. It's got to be a last sector masterclass for Matteo. He almost pulled one off in Belgium last season. He's got to pull one off in Silverstone. The Ferrari is down the inside. One move has been completed. Has he left it too late? Is Max von der Geest going to pull off a miracle through the final corner? It's going to be a drag race to the line. Who gets the exit? There's a wobble on through. Max von der Geest, is he going to take it? He is. 2 seasons ago, Max did not score a single point in PSF2. 2 seasons later, he's a race winner in F1.
Brilliant stuff for Max von der Geest. A brilliant strategy as well. I was keeping an eye on the tyres as well. I was expecting a puncture on the last lap and what that would have done for Max von der Geest or Cameron Dowds, who've had a puncture right at the end of the race as Azam retires there and leaves the session. And, well, understandably, I think he got a puncture as well. But really difficult. Max von der Geest takes the win, though, ahead of Matteo. Just one more lap or a couple more corners and it would have been Matteo's. Is it a case of maybe he just bided his time a little bit too much and should have maybe put foot to the floor just that little bit more? But I don't think Matteo's going to be all too disappointed with a second place. He had to really try for that.
Ooh. Wow. What an end to the race. When you come, Byron, for these one-off appearances, you usually bring a bit of entertainment, I won't lie, because that was an absolute cracker. I'm speechless. I can't believe Max has pulled that off. What a brilliant last lap.
Indeed. And I mean, really difficult. I really want to get, but I would love a penny for the thoughts of Paul, Rayan, both of whom who had punctures right there at the end.
Rayan especially, because he was in the race lead, I think,
Rayan,
when it went off.
Such a good, and it's gutting. You know, as a driver, you know, you always want to fight till the death of it. They took a gamble, they took a strategy that was very different, and just for Rayan's not to pay off in such spectacular fashion, I think that's, you know, you've really got to give it to Rayan. Just such a difficult race. A grueling race at that, and for it not to work and then finish 18th, that's not what you want as a driver.
No, it absolutely is not. I don't even know who came third. Oh, it was Cameron, that's who came third. A great race from Cameron as well. Great recovery drive from 14th. But really, that was unbelievable. You can see the Williams team celebrating on the podium. Max took 2 wins in F2 back in season 34 in Imola and Mexico. He adds an F1 win to his career. Really, really superb stuff. And the no-stopper was the strategy that paid off. My race results don't come up on the screen anymore for some reason, Byron, so you might have to read this one off the telemetry.
Ooh, let me read it off the telemetry for you. It was Max von der Geest who took the win, followed by Matteo. Then we had Cameron Dowles in third. Annoyingly, I've not got all of the drivers on my telemetry, so I can't tell you absolutely everything. Let me pull it up on the live stream because we might have a better chance there of loading in on the live stream. It was then Ryan Marios, then Gasper Flack, Moustache in 7th, then Oscar in 8th, Brando and Rydell rounding out your top 10. Enzo, 2 seconds off of Rydell there, then Renz Tomasin, Volokongan Alpha Gully, Barack Paul, and then Rayan in 17th, your final finisher, and your retirees, Azam, Tales, and Dirk. So, a lot of thoughts to kind of go over there, and I have got no idea kind of what even to think of that race, because it was just pure carnage, pure chaos, and somehow the no stop was the way to go, even though punctures happened, and that is really just like, it was all over the place.
Well, let's see what one of the drivers thinks. Let's chat to Cameron Dowd, your 3rd place finisher. Cameron, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Congratulations, 14th to 3rd. Not a bad day at the office, I suppose.
Yeah. It was pretty decent. You know, the race pace was good. Quali went a little bit abysmal, to be honest. I think had I have gone out later, I could have pretty easily gotten to the top 5. I actually had decent pace. But in the race, yeah, I had really good pace, but there was a point where, I used all of my ERS, and also my tires were a little bit overheated from battling too much. So I was trying to go forward, and I just ended up going backwards for a little bit. But then the strat to stay out worked out very well. I think I could have won the race, but I was just so scared at the end. My tires were 86, 87, and like I knew if I got a puncture, then it's just the championship would be absolutely knackered. So I just decided to try and take a 3rd, or I was trying to get 2nd, but it was just so hard to defend against Matteo and new enters.
Speaking of tyres, we saw a couple of punctures happen in front and behind you. What sort of percentages were you working with near the end?
87 was at the end.
Wow.
I seen the guy on the penultimate lap go off straight into the gravel, and I just kind of set my sail a bit. Then for the next 2 laps, it was so scary. I was driving so cautiously, just trying to stay off the curbs and just bring it home.
In terms of the championship, then you outscored the 3 in front of you, so definitely you're in a better position leaving Silverstone than you were coming into it.
Yeah, but Matteo's still finished ahead of me, so that's not ideal.
Yeah, sorry. You outscored Renz and Oscar at least, but what's the thinking then going into the last few races of the season from a championship perspective?
Just got to give it everything. I need to try and win the next few races if I want to have a chance. I'm not quite sure how far behind I am, but my aim is to win all of the next races.
Byron, any questions from yourself?
No, I think you've pretty much covered all bases there, Evan. I think obviously one of the main things is congratulations. You went for the 0 stop, you took a gamble, and it paid off big time. Was there a doubt on the 0 stop, or did you kind of just think it was always the way to go?
There was definitely a doubt, yeah. I knew that it was a really big risk, and I knew I was going to be borderline 90% at the end, and I knew it was a really big gamble, but I knew I had to take it because I would have finished very far down if I pitted a lot later, so I knew I just had to do it.
Fair enough.
Cameron, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on the podium, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again soon.
Yep, thank you.
Now, let's talk to the 2nd place man, Matteo. Hello, Matteo, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Congratulations on second place. One more meter, maybe, and you might have had first.
Yeah. I think that today we did everything the right way, to be fair, because yeah, qualifying not too bad. I think I could have got the point for pole, but yeah, I just took a safe lap because if I'm validated, I would have been down the order, and that's not what you want. Even though in Silverstone you can come back, but I knew that there could be a wet race, and indeed it happened. So yeah, first stint, nothing crazy, just control the pace and save my tires in case we will do a zero stopper. But in the end, we said, me and my engineer, we said, I'm P1 in the championship. I can't risk going 80% into puncture range. So yeah, I just boxed. And yeah, I think it was the right strategy on my side because in my position, you can't risk anything. But yeah, today the risk paid off, and congratulations to those who took it, even though I think it's more luck than anything else.
Are you surprised that that the no stopper paid off? Because in all honesty, I was.
Yeah, as someone might know, PCF1 did a race here, and the zero stopper barely worked because the one stopper was much better on pace, and you didn't even risk a puncture. So yeah, we saw the wear was really low, but at some point in the race, the wear just keeps growing, and yeah, we thought the zero stopper will not work because 85% wear, you should be more at risk of getting a puncture than not. So we took this decision. But yeah, as I said, I think one stopper was maybe better on pure pace or equal. But I just took the safer strategy because I basically didn't have any other choice to not risk losing points in the championship.
Yeah, you mentioned the championship there. You're certainly in a great position heading into the Netherlands and the remaining 4 races after that. Are you confident that you can wrap this one up and take a second PSF1 title?
Yeah, obviously, every race that we do is one race less. I gotta defend the leadership in the championship. So yeah, at the end of the day, decent night gained on every rival in the championship. So yeah, just like the win tonight, to be fair. I'm not fully satisfied for that reason. But yeah, Netherlands not the best track for me, especially because I don't know how my pace is there in qualifying, and usually you can't really overtake anywhere apart from turn one, maybe. So yeah, Netherlands shouldn't be that good of a track for me, but I think that in the others I can get the necessary points to win a second title. Yeah.
Byron, any questions for Matteo?
I think my one burning question for you, you've kind of already maybe answered it ever so slightly, but if you could redo the entire race, knowing what you know now, would you have taken the gamble for the zero stop, or would you have still have pitted?
To be fair, I think I would have still pitted because at the end of the day, we knew that it was kind of 50-50. It shouldn't be like that because at some point you should really get a puncture, and it did, and indeed some drivers got a puncture. But at the end of the day, we already knew that some drivers could get a puncture and others not. And yeah, we decided to take this way. I think I will do everything the same way because, as I said, there wasn't really a choice for me in my position. But yeah, this is it. You don't win races with if, buts, and maybe. So yeah, kind of lucky, but as I said, still a great day.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair enough. Well, congratulations on second place. Commiserations, obviously, for not quite getting the win, but hey, go and enjoy it. You're looking good for the championship.
Thanks, Baron. Thanks, Evan, and have a good night.
Thank you very much, Matteo, for that. A pleasure to have Matteo joining us, and even turning into that Liverpool fan there for a little bit. Don't do if, buts, and maybes. Matteo only does absolutes. But no, Byron, I think I've just about stopped shaking after that one. That really was a really good race.
Yeah, it's not often where you have races that are quite that chaotic, especially when it comes to wet races, right? Wet races, They aren't easy to make moves and make overtakes and have a strong of a race as we had there, and it was really, really strong to see just kind of everyone being able to really sling a move down the inside, try something different, and that strategy variation, right? The 0 stop versus the 1 stop. If everyone had pitted, it would have been a little bit more boring. So I think I'm glad that some people took that gamble because it was brilliant to see.
Really was an absolute excellent race. And folks, we have another race coming up next Monday night at 8 o'clock around the Netherlands. Thank you very much, Byron, for joining me for this evening. It was a pleasure to have you. Hopefully, with James Head back next week, feeling all good. But that is all we do have time for here tonight, folks. Thank you very much for joining us for PSGL F1 once again. Big congratulations to Max van der Geest, and we shall see you next time. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.